If you're like me and you love surprises, why not throw a little adventure in with your dinner plans and go somewhere where they don't even have a menu? You're gonna eat what the chef feels like cooking. The place is Beaujena's and you're gonna love it.
Salud!
It's a very interesting, different type of place. We've got a very great variety of foods. They're all very tasty.
The variety. You never know what you're going to get to eat. The food is always good. The service is good. Everything's good.
Today on Megan's menu, we are at Beaujena's French table. Joining me is Chef Randy. Now, Randy, you guys do things a little differently here. You don't really have a menu, do you?
No, we don't. In fact, what we offer is a surprise dinner.
A surprise dinner. I love surprises. Who doesn't love surprises?
Nobody. We do a 5-course and a 7-course. And we change that up at least once a month so that we actually have regular customers who come back every month to see what's new.
Because then they get something different every time they come.
Exactly.
So today we have a special menu. What are we making?
Well,
What's our first thing?
We're going to start with a flatbread, and we're going to do a roasted butternut squash hummus,
Yum.
as well as a roasted beet and horseradish spread.
Okay, so let's start on the first thing.
Okay, I have my oven already heated up to 350 degrees.
Okay.
I've got this beautiful butternut squash, and I'm just going to take it very simply, split it down the middle. You might want to use the biggest knife you have to do this. Now I've got a roasting pan here, and I'm just going to take a little bit of extra virgin olive oil, sprinkle a little salt, and I'm going to lay it face down in here. There we go.
There you go.
And we're going to put some foil on that, and then we're going to pop it in the oven.
Got it. And how long do you think that'll take in the oven at 350?
Probably about an hour.
Okay.
So we'll put it over here.
In the oven she
Excuse me.
goes.
No, we're going to put it on top just for a minute. 'Cause
Okay.
I'm going to get my beets ready as well.
Okay.
I got these lovely fresh beets. We're just going to trim up these beets a little bit. Take the tails off. We're not going to peel them yet. I'm going to split them in half as well. And we're going to put it in this little pan right here. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put down a little bit of extra virgin olive oil, and we'll keep things from sticking. Now I'm going to put some tin foil on top of this.
Okay.
Pop it in that oven.
Okay, so we have our butternut squash and our beets in the oven. They're roasting. And now we're going to make the flatbread for the first dish.
Yeah, and it's very simple to do. You take about a cup of water, warm water. So we're going to put this in this big pan,
Okay.
and I'm going to take about a teaspoon of sugar, because yeast likes sugar too. I'm going to take roughly a level tablespoon of yeast. I always kind of tend to err on the side of putting in more than I need, but stir that up a little bit. Now you can see this starting to bud. Now, a lot of people say just leave it sit for 15 minutes or something. I never do that. I just put the flour in. We're going to just keep adding flour to this until we get a decent texture, sort of a velvety smooth. Well, which you can see right now it certainly isn't, so I need to put another cup of flour in. And we'll just keep mixing that.
So now normally people, when they talk about their bread, it's so precise, you know, this and this and that. You just kind of go with the flow here, hey?
You know, baking is science, cooking is art. It's got to the point where now I can throw away my spoon, get my fingers in there. To make bread, you need to work up the gluten that naturally occurs in the wheat flour. And so you do what's called kneading. Squish it back and forth, fold it in over top of itself over and over. You should do that for about 5 minutes. Now you can see how nice and smooth this dough is. I'm going to take it and put it in a little ball like this. And once again, I'm going to put a little bit of olive oil on top of it, just to keep it from getting a skin.
So how long do you let your flatbread proof for?
About a half an hour, and it'll rise up, it'll double in size.
Okay, here we have our dough for our flatbread.
Yeah, it's risen once, I punched it down. It's risen again. I'm going to take it. You can see it's all full of air. Put a little flour on my board. A little on here. I'm going to roll it out. And you want to roll it out to about 1/8 of an inch. So here we are, on here. We're going to take a little extra virgin olive oil. We're going to put a drizzle on it. We're going to take some of this Himalayan pink sea salt. And I have herbe de Provence, which is a mixture of thyme and basil and a few other secret ingredients. We sprinkle that on top. We're going to fire that in the oven, 400 degrees, for about 15 minutes.
Okay. Okay, so in the oven we have our beets and we have our...
Butternut squash.
One is a hummus and one is a spread, and it will go with our flatbread.
That's right. It's been in about 45 minutes now, so it should be done. Kind of squishy.
You want it squishy?
Yeah.
Perfect.
We're going to peel these.
The easiest way to get the skin off a beet is to boil it or roast it, and then it comes right off.
And to that, we're going to add about 4 tablespoons of prepared horseradish. It's not hot. And because it's not hot, we're going to add a little horseradish powder too. There we have it. So we set this aside. That's one of our spreads.
Okay, so here we have our butternut squash.
We've got our butternut squash. Now we're going to just scrape the flesh out up against the skin. It's really easy when it's cooked properly. We'll put that in our food processor to make it like a hummus. Some extra virgin olive oil, some salt, some pepper, and the juice of a lemon. Now we're going to blend it up.
Okay, so is it time for the flatbread?
I think it's ready.
So this is exactly what you want. Nice and golden. You got the little air bubbles. That's exactly what we're looking for.
Yeah, and we want this to be fairly crisp, somewhat like a cracker. So I'm going to put a little of this. The horseradish and beet. And we're going to cut this up. Really crisp.
Okay, now we get to try it.
Which would you like to try first?
Ooh, I'll do the red.
Okay.
I'll do the beet.
I was leading you with that.
You sure were. Thank you. I love this flatbread, but I have to say the horseradish is a great pairing with the herbe de Provence. Well done. Next on the menu, we are doing a carrot and caraway soup, correct?
That's right.
And what else does this come with?
Well, this comes with a little relish that I made. It's with green peas, feta cheese, red onions, and sour cream. And we put a little dollop of that in the middle of the bowl of soup.
So how do we make this soup?
Well, this is it's very straightforward. Basically, you start with what would be a mirepoix. In French cooking, that's onions, celery, and carrots.
And that's sort of the base for anything French cuisine-wise.
Yes, it is. Certainly for any kind of soup or sauce. We're just going to rough chop these onions.
Okay.
I've got these onions in here, and I've got this dollop of butter. I'm going to put the dollop of butter on the bottom, and we're going to get this started on the stove right now.
Okay. So 1 whole onion, a couple tablespoons of butter.
Take it on, let those onions get a little bit translucent. While that's happening, we're going to cut up our celery. Now we can do this a very rough cut because you're not serving it, and afterwards we're going to blend this soup so it's smooth.
So it really doesn't matter how pretty it looks.
We're just chopping it up so that it cooks faster. Okay, we'll just set that over there for the time being, and we'll cut up these carrots. But because we're making a carrot soup, we're going to put all these other extra carrots in. Oftentimes I would use a stock if this was a different type of soup, but since it's a vegetable soup, there's not any real point in putting a vegetable stock in it. So we're just going to use water, and we'll season it up later.
Because we essentially are making a vegetable stock.
Yeah, effectively. Those onions are getting nice, so we can just pour this in. We're going to have a nice pot of soup. About that much salt. Call it a teaspoon. And that's going to simmer there for 45 minutes or so till everything's good and soft, and then I'm going to use an immersion blender and
Blend it all up.
turn it into soup.
Nice soft vegetables, totally cooked.
Right, because now we're going to puree it.
Perfect.
You'll see that doesn't take any time at all, and suddenly it's puree. Done. So now we're going to put a few caraway seeds in here, about a half teaspoon. Stir them in a bit. We're going to set this back over here on the stove. Now we're going to make a little relish that goes with it. We'll start with some peas, and we're going to mix a bit of that sour cream in there. Half a cup of peas, half a cup of sour cream. And then we're going to add the feta cheese, about 1/4 cup. Mix that up. We want to put in a little bit of red onion. We're going to mince this fairly fine.
So we have about 1/3 of a red onion diced up. We're adding it to our pea, sour cream, and feta mix. And this will be the relish for the soup.
Now, when you're making this, you can add cilantro or parsley to it too if you like. You can dress it up any way you like. I like it simple. Now we're going to dish up some soup.
Okay, I'm ready.
Now we take a dollop of this relish that we made, put that right there. Voila.
So now, are you one who stirs it all in or just gently takes a little bit?
I like to chip it off the side.
I do too, I'm a chipper. There we have our carrot and caraway soup. Beautiful looking soup, by the way.
Thank you.
Mmm. This will warm me up on a cold night. This is delicious. This is so yummy, and I have to say this relish is a great touch. I like the little bit of coolness it adds, and it really just brings everything in, and the crunch from the red onion is nice. Well done, Chef.
Thank you very much, Meghan.
If you want a tasty soup, come and see Chef Randy. He definitely knows what he's doing in the kitchen.
Couldn't write down all those yummy recipes in time? MeghanDuffy.ca has everything online, complete with tips from Meghan and Chef. Also, be sure to connect with us on social media to get a sneak peek at upcoming episodes, behind-the-scenes footage, and exclusive news.
Call 12 Stone Creations for your home repairs, renovations, and maintenance. From small repairs to large projects, we've got you covered. For more details, visit us at 12stonecreations.com or call us at 204-599-3357.
Do you own or manage a restaurant that you would love to have featured on Meghan's menu? If so, email us and tell us everything about your establishment. But hurry, our next season is booking up fast. If you're interested in being on the show or working with us behind the scenes, we have volunteer opportunities available, and we would love to hear from you.
Okay, so next on the menu, we have a true French-inspired dish, would you say?
Now, when you think of French food, you think of a sautéed frog leg.
Or a deep-fried frog leg.
Crispy frog leg. What I've decided to do is make it like a crab cake. And what I've done is I've sautéed them up. Simply just sautéed them. You can see they start to fall apart. That's what we want to do. So I've also boiled some potatoes, so I've got mashed potatoes over here. I'm going to take all of the meat off those little tiny frog bones, mash it up, and I'm going to mix it with the mashed potato with a little bit of sautéed onion, and then we're going to make that into little cakes, dip them in flour, egg, and panko crumbs, and deep fry them.
So it's a frog leg crab cake.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see how this magic works.
Okay. I've got my sautéed onions in this bowl.
Okay, sautéed onions, check.
Got my mashed potatoes, but we're going to go with about equal amounts of mashed potato with frog leg. Now, I'm going to play with that a little bit because I'm not sure exactly how much meat I'm going to get off of these legs right away. But you can see it comes off very easily.
Okay, so you've deboned the meat.
Right, and it looks like I have just about the right proportion of potato to meat. And there's, as I said, there's a little bit of onion in there. So we're going to mix that all up.
Okay.
What I'm going to do now is I'm going to start the process for making the hollandaise. To do that, I have to separate out a half a dozen eggs. I'm going to use the yolks for the hollandaise, and I'm going to use the whites
For the crab cakes.
Crab cakes. No waste in my kitchen. Now, I also have some panko right here. We got a big heaping teaspoon. It's about that size is good.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna make that into a little ball. We're gonna roll that in flour, then we're gonna drop it in the egg. Got it good and coated with egg, and then we drop it in the panko. Voila, crab cake. So now we've got the beginnings of our hollandaise over here.
So we have half a dozen egg yolks.
Half a dozen egg yolks.
Okay.
Cut a lemon and we're going to squeeze the juice into there. And you're just going to put in about 2 tablespoons of water. And that's the basis of it. Now, this is a trick I learned. We're going to take the butter and we heat the butter up to its maximum just before it starts to burn. And then we're going to turn the blender on and you're going to pour that hot butter in. And that's going to cook the hollandaise. And I've used about a half a pound of butter. Okay, we got our butter good and hot. Now this is usually kind of messy. So don't try this at home with little children around.
So just like that, just whipped it up in the blender.
Got a really nice consistency to it.
Who knew hollandaise could be so easy to make?
Need a little sprinkle of salt in there. Maybe a little bit of black pepper. The magic ingredient that we're going to use in this recipe is 1 tin of crab meat.
So this is cooked crab meat. So that's your sneaky little trick. You put the crab meat in the sauce, and then the crab goes over top of the crab cake, which is actually
Frog legs. Exactly.
frog leg cake.
Now we'll just heat up some oil and we'll fry up these cakes and we'll be ready to go.
Awesome.
Got our oil nice and hot. We're going to drop these 2 frog cakes in there. They get golden brown. It'll only take a minute. We're just going to heat it through really and make it crispy on the outside. And we're done.
Okay, so we have our frog leg crab cake with our hollandaise sauce.
Exactly.
And I think there's only one way to test this out.
Take a bite. You like?
Well seasoned, nice texture, and it's very delicious. So if you're in the mood for a frog cake, crab cake, come and see Chef Randy. He will hook you up. Safe to say?
Safe to say.
So we are now diving into our 4th course, the 4 of the 7, and we are doing tuna.
We're doing a seared albacore tuna. This is a tuna loin that I'm using. This is sushi grade. This is really good stuff. So first we're gonna make a little slaw. Serve this with a fennel and radish slaw. So I've got my radishes, and I use a mandolin. I've got some radish all nice and diced up. And now I'm gonna take some fennel and do the same thing with it. I'm using it in this slaw because it's crunchy, and I'm putting soy sauce on this slaw. The radishes, the fennel, and some soy sauce. So what we're kind of doing is mirroring some of the flavors you would get with sushi. Okay, so we got that set aside.
Okay.
Now what I did, I have some wasabi peas.
These
Now,
are awesome.
You can get these, they're really cheap. You can get them in any supermarket. They're dried pea covered with wasabi radish that's dried. I put them in the blender and I grind them up. I mix those wasabi peas with sesame seeds, both black and white. There's a nice mix there. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take this beautiful tuna and we're going to cut it about 1 inch thick. And then we're going to take it and we're going to roll it in these sesame seeds, pardon me. Get them nicely coated. Pat it down so they stick. I'm going to add a little bit of the budget bottle of soy sauce. Toss it around while we're waiting for the oil to fry the fish. It's really hot because you're searing the outside, and when we serve this tuna, it's going to be pink in the middle.
You definitely want a hot pan when you drop your tuna. So just a little bit of wasabi powder, a little bit of mayonnaise, blended it up together, and now we have wasabi mayo.
Have that.
So here we have our radish and leek slaw.
Tuna of this quality, you do not want to overcook it. About 30 seconds per side.
So here we have our beautifully sesame wasabi pea crusted albacore tuna on our bed of slaw, which is soy sauce, leek, and radish. And then we have our
Wasabi mayo.
There we go. I almost had it all. That's a mouthful. And now, da 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 da. Yes, we get to taste. This is where it's at, friends. This is where it's at. Love the sesames on the outside. Nice little crunch. Love the tuna. And I have to say, this mayonnaise, it's pretty out of this world. The wasabi mayo. It is like
Not too strong.
a little bit of sushi on a plate. You know, with the slaw, the soy sauce.
French Mediterranean sushi.
French Mediterranean sushi at its finest. Thank you very much, Chef.
Couldn't write down all those yummy recipes in time? MeghanDuffy.ca has everything online, complete with tips from Meghan and Chef. Also, be sure to connect with us on social media to get a sneak peek at upcoming episodes, behind-the-scenes footage, and exclusive news.
Call 12 Stone Creations for your home repairs, renovations, and maintenance. From small repairs to large projects, we've got you covered. For more details, visit us at 12stonecreations.com or call us at 204-599-3357.
Do you own or manage a restaurant that you would love to have featured on Meghan's menu? If so, email us and tell us everything about your establishment. But hurry, our next season is booking up fast. If you're interested in being on the show or working with us behind the scenes, we have volunteer opportunities available, and we would love to hear from you.
So I always like to say, with every good dinner is a good dessert.
I agree completely.
So what do you have up your sleeve for our dessert that we're gonna make?
Well, because it's the fall, I wanted to do something seasonal, so we're doing a poached apple. What I've used is an ambrosia. You could use a Royal Gala. You could use a Granny Smith if you like, but these are nice and sweet and they work really well. And I've already peeled 4 of them. What we're going to do is we're just going to cut them in the middle. I'm going to lay these in here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to pour some red wine into this pan. Apple juice. I'll sweeten the wine. After we poach the apples, they get nice and soft. We're going to take this wine and apple mixture and we're going to put it on a pot on the stove and reduce it down until it's almost like a syrup. That'll be the sauce. Because apple juice isn't quite sweet enough. We're going to put a little honey on top.
So there we probably have, what would you say, half a cup of honey?
We'll say that, maybe a little less, but. And on top, we're going to put a little sprinkle of cinnamon.
And how long are we going to bake this for?
This will go for about 45 minutes as well. You can always test. we're going to cover it. But you take it out after 40, 45 minutes, poke it with a fork.
If it's tender, then you know it's done.
You know it's tender, but if it's still resisting, then maybe a little.
Okay, so we have our apples in the oven with our red wine and our honey and our cinnamon. What am I forgetting?
Little apple juice.
Little apple juice. Do you think they're ready?
I think they're ready. You know what? I checked them at 45 minutes and they weren't quite done, so I let them go an extra 15 minutes. We want to take them out of here, and then we want to take this red wine and apple juice and reduce it down and make a sauce. Boiling, it'll probably take 20 minutes to be reduced down to a light syrup that we'll be able to pour over. In the meantime, we'll make our mousse.
Mousse.
Now I've started this. I've whipped cream and added plain yogurt to it.
3 whipped cream, 1 yogurt. Plain yogurt or vanilla yogurt?
Plain.
Could you use vanilla yogurt?
Well, you could, but I don't see any reason why you couldn't. I've sweetened the whipped cream,
Okay.
so it has some sweetness. Now what we're going to do with this is we're going to add some sultanas. Now I've also made a dark chocolate and hazelnut bark, and I've chopped that up so we have kind of a chocolate crumble.
And that's something very easy to make. Just lay some roasted hazelnut down in a pan, melt some dark chocolate, pour it over top,
Pour it over, there it is.
put it in the fridge,
Bob's your uncle.
break. Bob is my uncle.
So we'll put that on the plate. There we go.
Okay, chef, what would you recommend? A little bit of everything in one bite? Or should I taste it all?
Personally, I like to just have a little of this, a little of that.
Okay. That apple is delicious. This is divine. This is absolutely wonderful. Great way to end a meal. Not sure what you're in the mood for? Let Chef Randy decide. After all, you don't really have a choice because there is no menu. But don't worry, you are gonna love it because everything he makes is awesome. Just like this dessert, which I know you are gonna love.
Couldn't write down all those yummy recipes in time? MeghanDuffy.ca has everything online, complete with tips from Meghan and Chef. Also, be sure to connect with us on social media to get a sneak peek at upcoming episodes, behind-the-scenes footage, and exclusive news.
Do you own or manage a restaurant that you would love to have featured on Meghan's menu? If so, email us and tell us everything about your establishment. But hurry, our next season is booking up fast. If you're interested in being on the show or working with us behind the scenes, we have volunteer opportunities available and we would love to hear from you.